You asked for me. Here I am.
Hello everybody, Marc.antomattei here. Welcome to the channel. Today I am reviewing Captain America Brave New World. This is a movie that is released today, the day that I'm filming this video. This is February 14th, Friday, 2025. I got my notes here on my smartphone as well as notes over here on my iPad. So you guys are going to see me looking around from time to time to reference this stuff. I guess I'm going to try to go in sequential order as much as possible, but I think this review is going to be more about the tone and the feel for the film and less of a play-by-play about what happens first, what happens next. You know, I'm not going to go ahead and just spoil it for you guys. I know on a lot of my previous movie reviews, especially the Marvel movie reviews, you know, I do the so-called the spoilery review, and I just kind of throw that up there on YouTube, and you guys like to watch that kind of stuff. But there's not really a whole lot to spoil inside of this movie. So even if I were to tell you who the main villains were and the plot of the movie, I don't think it's going to be spoiling much of anything. Yes, it will be spoiling the movie, but you know, to actually hear it, to audibly hear it and understand, okay, this is how this movie's going to progress and this is what's going to happen in it. I don't think you guys would really be all that disappointed, to tell you the truth. Not to say that it's not a good movie and that it's, you know, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me just start at the very beginning. First of all, what are the things that I would like to note about this movie? The acting is top-notch. Harrison Ford is as good as Harrison Ford is in any of his other best films. And to say he's better than Han Solo, I mean, it might be a bit of a stretch, but all right. But Harrison Ford is exceptionally good inside of this movie. You know, he is one of the villains inside of this movie. As you guys already know from the trailers, he turns into Red Hulk. He plays General Thaddeus Ross, who has become President-elect Thaddeus Ross inside of this. And, you know, as we all know from the trailers, he becomes the Red Hulk. So we know that he's going to be a villain inside of this movie, but he's not the main big bad, if you understand what I'm saying. All right, so not to go off on a tangent and take away from what I was saying, Harrison Ford, as well as Anthony Mackie, both as hero and villain, they play the parts exceptionally well, and they are the ones that really add gravitas to this movie and, you know, make you buy into these characters and this whole scenario. The acting is top-notch from both of these guys. Giancarlo Esposito, we all know that this guy has been a fantastic actor ever since, what is the Spike Lee movie, Do the Right Thing, way back in the late 80s. We know how good his acting is. You know, everything he's in, he's good. His role is really not as grand inside of this movie as I would personally like it to be. You know, I would have liked him to have a little bit of a bigger role, but it's big enough that we get enough of him. But I feel like he could have definitely been the third who could have added a lot of gravitas to this movie because his acting, you know, just in everything in general is just so good. So he could have been another person to have helped ground this movie more into reality. But as it is, he plays a side villain inside of this movie, Sidewinder, and he's good inside of the parts that he's in. But I just don't feel like that we get enough of him. And he's more inside of just a action type of role inside of this movie. And he, you know, his dialogue is a lot more scaled back than what I would like it to be. Actor Danny Ramirez as the new Falcon, Joaquin Torres, he's a very good actor inside of this movie as well. He makes for a good sidekick, to say the least. You know, he plays his part well enough to say that he warrants being the new Falcon and the new sidekick for this Captain America. All right, so starting off with my real thoughts about this movie and where I'm going to rank it inside of the Captain America films, as well as just as a movie overall and as a standalone film. How do I feel about it? So this one is a little bit less Marvel and more of a political action thriller. The action is scaled back inside of this one. And if I have to say it, man, the action is definitely the weakest link of this movie. It's definitely the weakest part. If you're an action junkie and you're coming into this looking for like big over the top Marvel action, you're definitely not going to find it here. Of course, you're going to see Captain America versus Sidewinder. You're going to see Captain America versus Red Hulk inside of this, as well as some other combat scenarios. But it's just not as good as the combat that you're going to find inside of The Winter Soldier, and definitely not inside of Captain America Civil War. Compared to those movies, it's very tame. So if I have to dock a lot of points from this, it's definitely going to be from the action aspect of it. But the plot and the story of this are very good, and the acting is very good, and that's what helps to ground this movie and bring it up to the level that it is. If the actors were not, on their P's and Q's inside of this one, I would definitely scale back the score a lot more. And just to put it out there, just to throw it right now and not make you guys wait to the end of the video, I am personally giving this movie a 7 out of 10. If the drawbacks of the action are going to affect you as a personal viewer of this movie a lot more than it affected me. I didn't care so much. I cared a little bit that I brought back the score. This movie could have been an 8. It could have even been a 9, but, I scaled it back to a 7. But, if you are really not a fan of the action inside of this movie, if you think it's just really, I don't want to say bland. It's not bland. It's just not enough of it. And it feels like we've seen it before. It's just kind of a little bit tame. If you're going to be a lot more harsh on this movie than what I am, I can definitely understand you giving it a 6 out of 10. But me personally, because I enjoyed everything about this movie, action aside, I give it a 7 out of 10. Since I'm talking about things that I dislike inside of this movie, let me just also go ahead and say that the score, the soundtrack of the movie, I kind of find it very forgettable. What happened to the theme from the Falcon and the Winter Soldier? If I open up my Spotify real quick, you remember the score from the Falcon and the Winter Soldier was done by a guy named Henry Jackman. And the Falcon, aka Captain America, inside of that TV series, he had his own theme song, which came on all 6 of those episodes. If you look it up on Spotify, Apple Music, it's called Louisiana Hero. It's just a really, song that pumps you up viscerally inside of your gut. You know what I mean? It's a really good music. And the score of this one it's very forgettable. You're watching the movie, you're more engulfed inside of the dialogue and the plot and the story and everything else that's going around, but you don't even give the music a second thought inside of this. Like, you forget what you heard very easily. There's no theme, no tune inside of it. I'm thinking okay, when this movie goes off and the credits start to roll up the screen, then maybe they're going to play the Louisiana Hero song, and it's going to sound real good, and it's going to make you walk out of the theater feeling great. In credits, the music was kind of sorry. I was like, oh, man, what a wasted opportunity here, man. Get me pumped up and make me feel something inside of my chest, man, from this movie. Not from the movie, from this music. I love Captain America, man. Don't want to have this guy replaced in any aspect. I personally think Anthony Mackie is a better actor than Chris Evans. The guy has the chops to be this character. he needs to be this character. I think the Russo brothers are going to do right by him inside of the next two Avengers movies where he has been set up as being the new lead of the new Avengers. He has the capability, he has the ability to be that leader, and I believe he will, and I believe they're going to direct him right. But the director of this movie could have pumped him up even more as the actor that he is. You know, I want to see the Hurt Locker guy inside of this movie. You know, really powerful. You know, he has the chops. They should pump him up even more, make him more grandiose of a character than what he is. Man, I could see the people eating it up. I would be eating it up. I would be cheering, clapping. Not that I wasn't inside of this, but, you know, more. I want more. I'm glad inside of this movie, Marvel has finally cleaned up Celestial Island from the Eternals, because we were just wondering forever from whenever that movie came out. But whenever that movie came out from then to now, we're like, oh, we're just going to forget about this big thing that's just floating out there inside the middle of the Indian Ocean. Has the world not noticed this? Is this ever going to be addressed? Finally, this movie puts this thing to the forefront and it addresses it. Yes, I'm glad that it's being addressed, but man, you spoiled a Captain America movie to address this thing. Couldn't they have addressed this inside of a less, I don't know. It plays into part of the plot, right? It plays into the plot heavily of this movie about why it's here and why it's being addressed inside of this political thriller action movie. But man, of all the situations and scenarios we could put Captain America inside of, I just felt like wasting time on this thing was just, I don't know, man. I just felt like we could have had Captain America in a different scenario doing something else. I just felt like we could have had him in a different scenario. The good aspect about the celestial body that's floating out there inside of this is that we finally see that this is going to bring adamantium, which is an even stronger material than vibranium, to the MCU. And that island aside, mutants at the very end of this movie, inside of the end credits, kind of get set up there inside of the after credits sequence. So we know that X-Men are definitely coming now, hopefully sooner rather than later. Maybe even next year inside of the next Marvel movie from the Russo brothers. Getting very pumped up for that. So on one aspect, we have to waste part of the movie to talk about this thing and to have this be a MacGuffin inside the movie, so to speak. And it kind of wastes a little bit of time out of the movie to start addressing this thing. But on the other hand, it does set up, you know, mutants inside of the whole MCU. So, you know, there is a nice compromise there. So I'm not complaining too much, but just, yeah. We get to see Carl Lumbly as Isaiah Bradley, the first Captain America, back inside of this one again. That guy was a hell of an actor inside The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I mean, he had scenes inside of that series that, you know, brought tears to my eyes. He brought tears to my eyes inside of this one as well as Anthony Mackie. This is a movie that you feel inside of your heart, man, because these guys, especially me being who I am, when I look at this movie, I see myself. So seeing the plight of these characters have to take on the role of being Captain America and still be hated inside of their own country for it, it really addresses my whole life, my whole 42 years of being an American and not getting the recognition that you deserve, even when you earned it, just because of the color of your skin. Man, it's a hard watch. It's a hard watch. But you cheer for these characters, the real first Avenger, the first Captain America, Isaiah Bradley, as well as Sam Wilson. You just root for these guys all the way through, and you want to see them be triumphant. You want to see them be righteous people, and you want to see them be the leaders that they are. And show people that we're a lot more than what you think we are. I definitely got emotional at times inside of this. I cried, man. Very righteous people inside of this movie. I'm not crying, you are. This movie addresses a lot of things, bringing them to the forefront. You know, this movie talks about Sam Wilson not having the super soldier serum, and we understand why he is given the shield, and it's not because he needs the super soldier serum. It's because of who he is as a person. All in all, how am I going to close out this quick review? If you are like me and you like Anthony Mackie as an actor, you like his Captain America, you like his Falcon, you like his character inside of the MCU, just in general, if you're black, you 100% want to go see this inside of the theaters. If you have an inkling of an interest to see this movie, but you're not too keen on seeing it, definitely you want to see it, but you can definitely wait on seeing this on rental on demand or on Disney Plus whenever it comes to that. It's definitely a movie that you can wait for, but because I've been so encapsulated inside of all of these movies, having watched all over 30 Marvel movies from the beginning to this one, a majority of them inside of the theater, you know, for me, it meant something for me to go support this movie, this actor, these characters at the cinema and pay my hard-earned money and watch it there, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. But if you don't want to pay, it cost me about $20 to see this inside of Japan. If you don't want to pay that, lay down that kind of money to see a movie that could potentially be a 6 for you, a 7 for me, 7 for you if you think it's going to be, you know, as good for you as it was for me. If you don't want to lay down that kind of money, I could see you waiting to see it, but definitely it's a movie that you're going to want to see. And I think for the most part, I think that you're going to definitely enjoy it. The last thing that I'm absolutely going to say, I can definitely see a lot of people hating on this movie. And those people are, as you guess, the racists. You know, these people, they have their place. Maybe they were never interested in this movie from the get-go. To them, the whole movie is just all about skin, and they can't see past that, past their own ignorance. And if it's going to be brought down really lowly inside of score, which is not deserving of it, definitely it's going to be these people to do it. You know, the people on social media, on Facebook, every single time you've seen a Captain America Brave New World post come up and you see their hidden racism comments, their not so hidden racism comments inside of the comment section, obviously these are going to be the people that are going out there leaving their personal scores on Metacritic and all these aggregate score websites and Rotten Tomatoes, and really trying to bring it down because they're trying to hurt and afflict damage on this movie from damage that has been afflicted on them as people inside of their lives. So I could see that transpiring that way, in which they're going to kind of transfer that over. And I think this movie is probably, it depends on how many of these type of people are out there, but it could hurt this movie depending on how many of them exist. I just want to put that out there. All in all, it's a great movie, 7 out of 10. I recommend to go see it. All right, I'd like to thank you guys for watching. Salute to you wherever you may be out inside the world. If you found this video informative or entertaining inside the least bit, give me a like, thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for more inside the future, and I will see you guys in the next one. And until next time, peace, God bless, I'm out.